invite Dr. Saidu Dukawa, who joins us from Kano State, a cleric and last but not least, if you're on Twitter, you know him. You have heard of his platform. Join me in welcoming Pastor Poju Oyemade.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I know you guys had a late evening yesterday, so I appreciate those of you that managed to drag yourself out of bed to join us for this conversation. Thank you so much for being here. It's a conversation that I think is important, so I want to reserve as much time as possible for the discussions. And therefore, I'm asking you to look at your program if you want to know a little bit more about the two gentlemen that I'm having this conversation with. So they have a full bio in this document. I don't want to take the trouble to read it. I want to just dive straight into this conversation because I think it's going to be, I pray it's going to be a good one. I'm going to start this conversation with something that never happens in Kabafest. And I don't want Lola to cut my head off, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I suspect you guys know this prayer. So I'm going to start this panel with a prayer. Please join me. O God of creation, direct our noble cause, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know, in love and honesty to grow, and living just and true. Great lofty heights attain, to build a nation where peace and justice shall reign. Can I get a big amen? Amen. Thank you very much. So, this is a conversation about the politics of religion. If I could start with you, Pastor Poju. Is religion a catalyst or a barrier to nation building in Nigeria?
The question is religion a catalyst to nation building in Nigeria?
Or a barrier?
Or a barrier?
Yes.
Religion has, let me answer this way. Religion has the capacity to trigger national growth and national development. Whether or not we have deployed it that way in the recent years, it will be an issue for discussion, but it does have the capacity for it.
Doctor?
Yes.
The same question.
All right. Let me begin by thanking you for having me on Kabafest. It was really a culture shock to me because I didn't know it's such a big event. And I was so impressed by everything, right from the professional PR people which have been making contact with us to this time. So it's a great pleasure. First and foremost, let us know what is religion and what is politics. That's when you will be able to know whether it is the interface is positive or negative. You see, to me, religion is the highest ideal which people hold, through which they want to interact with a supernatural, a super being, and which they devote their thinking and their resources and their energy and sometimes even their lives in order to protect. And even if somebody says he doesn't believe in any religion, that in itself is a religion because it is a belief. Politics, on the other hand, is the highest means. I said religion is the highest ideal. politics is the highest means through which that ideal is sought to be actualized. People want, even in your prayer, you said you wanted peace and justice, all right? So it is through politics that you will have a peaceful atmosphere in which you will practice the religion of your choice and in which you will achieve progress in life. So through that, looking at that, you will see that religion is supposed to be a catalyst to politics, and politics is supposed to be a catalyst to peaceful atmosphere that will enable people to practice the religion of their choice. But once in a while, we find it to be the other way around.
Okay. And yet, Pastor Poju, in Nigeria, which is full of religious people, I think by and large, 98% of Nigerians practice some form of religion or the other. The two dominant ones, obviously, being Christianity and Islam, and a tiny minority still holding on to traditional religious practices, or what we call native religions. Despite that level of engagement with religion and the fervor, somehow that hasn't translated into a better life for Nigerians. It hasn't translated into creating better leaders for Nigerians. So where is the disconnect? How can we be so big on religion and yet be failing to sort of provide the most basic the most basic values that should drive a nation?
Well, I mean, I will speak more for Christianity. And what I think has happened in Nigeria is that the way in which the faith has been taught to people has centered more on the personal progress of a person on the earth, in spite of the difficulties and challenges. But the doctrine itself is a doctrine of love, and therefore it should be a doctrine where you are looking out for the improvement of the lives of the people around you. And so the concept of, because when you look at a religious person in his own personal space, the way he goes about it may be different from the way he goes about it if he's in public office, depending on how the politics shaped everything. But really, if there's a reorientation of the doctrine for people to understand that taking care of your environment, the development of your environment has been a commandment from God, and there's that reorientation, then I believe that that will be translated into leadership in the public place. But I don't think that the connection has been made doctrinally in a very strong way for there to be a reorientation of the people in terms of its influence in government.
Okay, so thank you. Doctor, he said he was speaking specifically to Christianity.
Yeah.
In Islam, the message is that it is a complete way of life.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, that is a religion that professes to influence everything, and where the demarcation between the private and the public really shouldn't exist. Because if you are sort of a full Muslim, then your personal conduct should sort of, your character is driven by the religion and should drive the way you interact with people privately, publicly, wherever you are. Why haven't we seen that?
Yes, precisely because of the disconnect between religion and politics, the attempt to separate. You see, to a Muslim, there is no way he can separate politics from religion because of three reasons. Number one, there is the philosophy of Tawheed, in what we call in Islamic language Tawheed, meaning monotheism, which means that God is supreme, is ultimate, is sovereign. All powers belong to him. So whatever belongs to God, and whatever belongs to Peter and Peter himself, all belong to God. This is the conception of a Muslim, and it fills his mind in everything he does. Even when I experienced a culture shock when I came to Kabafest, that Tawheed came to my mind. God is great. Look at this gathering, which can change things in Nigeria. He made it possible. This is one. Number two is that for everything that is being discussed under the sun, the first point of call by a Muslim is the Quran. What does the Quran says about so and so? The third reason is that the second point is what we call in Islam the Sunnah, meaning what the Prophet did or instructed to be done, or it is being done in his presence and he didn't stop it. Now, with reference to what we are talking about, is that the Prophet of Islam ran a state, he administered a state which was multicultural. So therefore, the Muslim is supposed to look at how did the Prophet related to Christians? How did he related to Jews? And how did he control Muslims? Every time that's what the Muslim would want. However, let me make the point. We find ourselves in a situation where we are having leaders that seem to be afraid of talking about religion. Can you imagine Kadaria, that of all the array of committees in the National Assembly, they have no less than 2 dozen committees. There is none on religious affairs. Of all the ministries in the country at the federal level, there is none on religious affairs. And yet, you said Nigerians are religious. So we are going east, our leaders are going west. So we lack the institution to coordinate the affairs of religion properly. So we go about doing it haphazardly. And because of that haphazardness, you find the disconnect you are asking about.
Okay. Pastor Poju, it all sounds really good when he explains it that way. But the reality of the way Nigeria experience religion is that religion is a divider.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen conflicts that have been driven by violent extremism. In the case of the North, places like Borno are suffering from attacks by Boko Haram as a result of people who genuinely believe that their version of Islam is the right version and that they have a right to impose it on others and attack the state, etc., etc. In places like Jos, sectarian violence has happened multiple times across religious lines. Muslims killing Christians, Christians killing Muslims. And so on the surface, it would appear to people, particularly those who don't have a lot of faith or who believe religion should be a private affair, that religion has damaged Nigeria. What would be your response to that sort of assertion?
Look, I have some thoughts, but I won't say it publicly. But no, I won't say it publicly. But no. Wait.
It's a safe space, so.
Wait, no. But we have to understand something, that this was a country from maybe 1967, 68, right to 75, General Gowon was the president. General Gowon was the head of state. Admiral Wei was the next in command. They were both Christians. Nobody brought up religion as an issue. It's a country where in the 90s, Abiola with King Ibe won an election and Christians voted en masse for the election. Now, of recent, religion has become a more potent force of divisive in our politics. Now, I think I know what may have happened, all right, but the issue is, I think right now it is being exploited to divide. And once people are divided, then it's going to be very difficult for people to build anything. I had some friends from Singapore who came to visit us. So we asked them about Singapore, the development, because they went through some parts. I said, it's how Singapore used to be, all right, all these parts. And that you don't see these things again in Singapore. You don't see neighborhoods like this again. But we used to be like this. In fact, the wife of the man said she grew up in the slum, and it was so she understood. But she said they had a leader who came on, and he just told them from school that anything that divides them shall not be a matter of discussion and all of that. So that's how they, whether it was right or wrong, but that's how they brought unity, all right, to it.
What did you mean by that? And the reason I'm asking you this question is I know in Islam, like I said, it's supposed to be a complete way of life. But in the church, you're supposed to give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God. Do we understand that verse properly to mean that there should be some sort of separation? And as a pastor, is that something that you think would be good for a place like this, where, like you said, religion has been abused and used to divide?
You see, the fundamental wings of both religion stand apart in terms of, they're both fundamental. We are fighting for Christianity, we are fighting for Islam. And let me say this.
Sir, please.
All right,
yes.
Let me say this. In 2015, when President Muhammad Buhari came in and Professor Yemi Osinbajo was vice president, I thought the country had an opportunity at that particular point in time because both of them are fundamental, so to speak, about their faith. They wear their faith. And I felt if both of them sit down outside the way and manner in which you worship God, the values that you have in terms of no corruption, don't steal, you find out that they share the same values that are required in governance and nation building. Those other things we're talking about are not required. What is required in nation building and governance? Honesty, integrity, service. If both parties sit together, there will be no disagreement on it. There is no side that will say, let's steal public funds. There's no side that will say, let us lie. There's no side that will say, let us cheat people and all of that. So that's why I say religion in itself, and it has been used in other nations to propel growth. All right? America would not be what it is without them using religion to propel growth. In fact, I think one time President Obama, when he wanted to start his campaign, was telling the Democratic Party that even though they're moving away from religion, they must remember that you can't connect to Americans without deploying the language of religion because this is who they are.
I wouldn't use America as an example right now of anything, to
Yes,
be honest.
but I'm saying hundreds of years ago.
The point being, though, that religious fervor has also been used to export colonialism and oppression and all of those things. And so, using them as an example of...
Yes, but everybody used religion. Everybody used religion as an oppressive tool in exploit. They used it in a way. You get what I'm saying? People projected religion. That's what I'm saying, that religion can be used, right, as a tool for that. But if you look at the in its purest form, That's not what it was supposed to do.
Okay, thank you very much. Doctor, I want to speak specifically to the way Islam itself has sort of, evolved, particularly in the north, and where we've seen the introduction of what many of us believe is political Sharia, starting from my state in Zamfara, where essentially what seemed to have happened was people who were poor in governance decided to distract people by trying to project a certain way of doing things so that they could steal quietly. From the time Sharia was introduced to date, I don't think anybody can say emphatically that we've seen progress in the north in terms of the quality of people's lives, etc., etc. And you yourself sat on a board, the Hisbah board, which has been accused of so many things in Kano, including burning books and sort of just denying people rights that should automatically come to them, even if they live in a state that is predominantly Muslim. So, in the context of development within northern Nigeria, why are Muslim leaders, professed Muslim leaders who are declaring Sharia all over, failing to actually look after their people? And in the light of that, can we argue that therefore religion should have no place in our public life?
With due respect, Kadaria, I will say you have been judgmental in your assertion. No, listen. In your assertion that people introduce Sharia in order to deceive people and so on and so forth.
I'm looking at outcomes.
That has been judgmental because you don't know the intentions in their
I see
mind.
the results.
Listen, but what happened that led to the result which you saw?
Okay.
So the intention is different, and the happening is another thing entirely. So we cannot judge their intentions, all right? But certainly we knew that Sharia implementation didn't go the way we expected it to. It didn't.
Why?
So to admit, and I'm coming to that. And also, when you said, yes, I was the Director General of Kano State Hisbah Board for 4 years, and you are referring to only the accusations. You didn't know the work we did, which you didn't see the result, even though it is there, manifest. When last did you hear people attacking Christians in Kano? When last? For whatever provocation. It didn't happen like that. It was a conscious effort through the Sharia implementation that we made. Since the first time we dispatched Hisbah Corps to protect churches in Sabangari, when we anticipated crisis, that was when we started this thing. That time, which some youth in Kaduna said or gave ultimatum to Christians to leave northern Nigeria. We went on air with some Christians and made public sensitization, and afterwards visited the houses of each other, okay? Top-ranking ulama, including the chairman of the Council of Ulama. We were on air. Now that kind of thing continued, and you don't find that anymore. And you don't know the number of people, non-Muslims, who came to the Hisbah board to seek for redress against their Muslim business partners, in which they succeeded.
Okay, so can I ask you to clarify one little thing?
So now coming back to why it didn't take place the way we wanted, is because of 3 reasons. Number one, there is ignorance on the part of many people, both Muslims and non-Muslims. So among the ignorant Muslims, they did many things wrongly. Among the non-Muslims, fear of the unknown made them to do things wrongly, especially the anti-Sharia war, which they launched. so that attracted a counter action, and it diverted attention. And number 3, manipulation. So there are some people who manipulated the system and therefore derailed it. And therefore we saw the result we saw.
Okay.
So but it doesn't have to do with anything with the intention.
I will come back, because there are two things I want to marry between, your answer, and I hope the answer is going to give me to my next question. It's not only Muslims that have been guilty of, in my view, manipulating religion in Nigeria. We see the role sometimes the Christian Association of Nigeria has played in stoking differences, fights, particularly in the north, which, has the advantage of diversity. But that can also be something that is a disadvantage. And we've seen that diversity, which could have been a blessing, sometimes used with associations that are supposed to be leaders. I mean, the Christian Association of Nigeria, love is the central message, right, for Christianity. And then you have Khan bringing out statements when things happen in Jos, essentially polarizing the country and the North in particular. What role should Khan be playing in your view? And are they playing that role properly?
No. Nah, I mean, I can't answer that. I can't say, like what you said. I mean, listen. Northern Christians go through a different experience from Southern Christians. And we have to appreciate the fact that the hostility that you may say you face in the North is non-existent in the Southern part. So I mean, I can't be in a position to speak about experiences that other people are having within the context of their environment, whether it's correct or whether it is not correct. All right, it will be quite insensitive for that in terms of saying that. But it's just that once things, what gives room for this exploitation, right? So, for example, if I get up now and I say, look, let me give an example now. Look, this thing, let's be moderate. People throw photographs at you. Now, you don't know, throw photographs at you of killings and all of that. Now, you don't know what they are throwing at you, whether it's so or it's not so, all right? But once they put photographs at you, then the question becomes, so there's nothing you can do about it. So that...
No, let me take you up on that.
Yeah.
Because if religion is driving everything that we do, and you're a religious leader, you're a pastor, and you say Christianity preaches love, and you say, oh, people throw photographs at you, and you then say nothing. Didn't Jesus say, if a man asks you for your blouse,
no.
give him your shirt?
No. I say, I'm discussing with somebody who says, look at what we are going through.
Yes.
All right? If people show you what they are going through, there's nothing you can... It's difficult because that's the experience they're having.
No, the question I'm asking, because we're now talking about an ideology.
Yeah.
The religions are ideologies that are supposed to sort of govern the way we live in this country, and which have proved to be divisive rather than sort of unifying people. And if your issue is, look, the experience is that these religions have caused death. And when people come to you and say, look at my experience, as a pastor, my expectation is not because they've shown you a picture, you now say, okay, go and take revenge.
No, I didn't say I said
like
go
that.
and take revenge. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I said you
particularly
can't...
with a religion that says turn the other cheek and all of that. Why are we not hearing that message?
But the interpretation of turn the other cheek is personal. It's not at a collective level. What that interpretation means is, if you slap me, I will turn the other cheek. But if there's a general thing, I don't think historically any Christian nation as a national policy turned the other cheek. I don't think so. The individuals there turn the other cheek, but as a Christian national policy there, I don't think anybody turned the other cheek.
So I guess the point I'm trying to make with both of you, and the issues I'm trying to get you to grapple with, is the fact that religion has essentially become divisive in this country.
Okay,
Rather
yes,
than...
but I agree, but how are
than
we?
aspiring
But how
to
are
the
we in the
ideal.
70s that there was this problem wasn't there?
So that is the
So
question.
what happened?
So that is this is the conversation we're having, and what we need to sort of do in order to sort of
I think if
Yeah,
I may
something
come
happened.
in, if
Okay,
I may
go-
come
go in,
or
go.
if I may come in,
yes.
there is one cause, one thing that is being done, and one thing that is not being done. One thing that is being done is politicians are manipulating religion together with money to get to get to power. So it causes a lot of problems.
And yet, when I talked of
And what we
political
are not
Sharia,
doing,
you said
what
no.
we are not doing now.
I said, when I talked of political Sharia, you said I'm passing judgment.
Yes, of course, yes.
You just repeated what I said using different words.
No,
Right. So because the reason I'm pushing back is because you've essentially said
saying-
what I said,
no,
but using different words.
I am saying that politicians are manipulating religion. All right? But that is different from saying a specific thing which they did. This is the reason. This is the cause. It's different from you pointed out at a specific thing and said and faulted it. And it has to do with intentions, which we have no
Not
power
results.
to, which we have
Not
no
the
power
result,
to
not
judge.
outcome.
Not which we have no, when you talk about the result, I told you about the counter result, which you ignore.
No,
Or you overlook,
You gave me
which you
one
overlooked.
example of what Hizbah did around securing Muslims.
Non-Muslims.
Christians in Kano. The question has to be, why did we
Now,
need to get to a
you-
stage? Let me finish.
All right.
Where the Hizbah needed to secure anybody, because there was a time in Kano when that was not necessary.
Yes.
Right? So that is really, and I think it speaks to what Pastor Poju was saying, was in the 70s, in the early 60s, there was relative peace. I don't think it was total, but there was relative peace. And so you can't talk about the Hizbah coming to fix a problem if we do not understand how we started having that problem in the first place. And my contention is that part of it was our forceful introduction of Sharia into politics and the codification of Sharia into politics.
And my own perception of it is that it was in the first place it was not forceful, because it was a legal process that was followed to do it. And to me, the positives have outweigh whatever negatives you are trying to point out. There are positive things, because the secular system has failed to secure lives and to guarantee peaceful coexistence in Kano for decades. But with the introduction of Sharia, we are now relatively peaceful. So let me conclude. I told you the problem that happened. Now I'm trying to tell you the thing which we are not doing, isn't it? Yes. What we are not doing is this kind of conversation, okay? So that we identify the meeting points of Christianity and Islam and the parting points, understand them, utilize the convergence, the meeting points, in order to mitigate all these negative things about the interface between religion and politics in Nigeria, and promote the peaceful coexistence which we are yearning for. That's what we failed to do. But if we sit down to do that, I assure you, you will see we have more convergence of points. Okay, we all agree for the essence of religion, for the good conduct of human behavior, for sanitized society, for law and order, for good governance, for peace, for love, and so on. And we all agree on that. Now, let us find those areas, agree with them, pursue these politicians on them. Let us hold them, let them see us together. Let me give you one illustration. In 2016, the Senate wanted to do a public hearing on this LGBTQ of a thing. And we were there, But when they saw the hall packed full, half of the whole Muslims, half of the whole Christians, they got scared and ran away and sent a message to us that, sorry, the public hearing could not take place, blah, blah. They thought the Muslims were there to do what? To reject, okay, to oppose. The Christians were there to support. They didn't know we were in agreement. Okay, our union, Khan and the Council of Ulama have connected, and we wanted in unison to say no to that law. But they thought Christians will fight Muslims there, so they ran away.
Okay.
Now, if we will continue to be doing that kind of thing and say no to corruption, no to misgovernance, no to injustice, and so on and so forth, then we will be seen together frequently, and then we will pull out that notion in us that as if we are always enemies. We have failed to do that.
Okay,
actually.
and that is a really important point, Pastor Poju, because I think when it comes to what I consider small things, you find people, so when it comes to sort of what I consider private rights, LGBTQ, who I sleep with, who I go to bed with, all of those things are personal to me. We are very loud and unified. But when we tell you, can you face off the president or the governors who are stealing money from local government? Somehow they have pastors and malams and all of those people part of their entourage, and the voices are never loud. When when a young girl is dressed in a certain way, and I've seen it, schools in the South that are banning the way women dress, universities are saying you can't wear this, you can't do this, you can't do that, imposing certain values because they say they are Christian. But we never hear them banning, politicians who are stealing money from giving tithe in church, right? We never hear, no, I'm serious. We never hear malams, saying that the Mercedes they got sent by Governor so and so has been returned because they're not sure of the value of the money. Why is that? Why is that?
So we are united in that. We are looking for unity. About unity. Look, what do you say?
They said them.
What do you say? I think religious trust in Nigeria has been broken. Religious trust has been broken. So people are more likely to, and I agree, politicians are exploiting it. All right, because if you use religion as your path to power, then it's conflict you're looking for because it's conquest. But if you use pure politics, which is building alliances, negotiation, selling your ideas, then you probably will be looking for unity. But I think in the last 15 years, people have seen that religion is the most powerful tool in Nigeria in terms of stirring up emotions and people not thinking properly. All right. So if I steal money and I wear a cross for the trial, a crucifix, I'm sending a message to the Christian community that they are persecuting me because I'm a Christian. But when you check it, I mean, you stole the money, you stole government money, but and then people interpret it after some time as what about other people who stole money too? Then so there's a lack of trust that has come as a result of something that happened in this country years ago.
What?
It's something that must have happened, which is what broke the trust. That's what I'm trying to say, that in the 70s, well, look, nobody was saying all these things.
Okay, let me put it this way. The fear of God doesn't seem to be a strong enough incentive in Nigeria for people to do good.
Yes.
And I say this because my assumption is that if individually religion makes us better people, then collectively we should have a better country. That should be the result. If everybody in their little corner decides that I'm going to be a good Muslim, and another one says I'm going to be a good Christian, the sum total of that should be a better Nigeria. But we are not seeing that. And so there is a distinct sense that religion has failed to sort of create better people because the fear of God is not making them better.
Followers of the religion have failed. It's not the religion that failed. It is followers of the religion.
We can
that
do
have
the
failed.
semantics, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? So again, it's about results and outcomes, right? And what we're seeing. And there are those that argue that one of the reasons why religion in Nigeria fails to sort of move us, to make us better, is that the two major religions we're following are foreign. And that if we had stayed true to our essence, who we are, African traditional religion, that makes more sense to us, and that sort of thing.
Okay, but anybody who is saying that should give us an example of a country.
Well,
in the
we've
world.
seen people swear by.
They should give us an example who stayed true to their ancestral and they are moving forward. They should just point.
India, China, India.
No.
India.
Wait, no. You can wait. You can argue China, but China has adopted directly, not internal Chinese. They have adopted technology of the West. They have adopted all those things from the West.
But not their religion.
Where did they find out all the things they are doing? No. They have adopted. So the technology they are using it came from India. It came
Please,
from
just,
their
I will
Indian.
come to audiences. You guys will engage. Just give me a second. Go on, Pastor.
So
Sorry.
it's an adaptation. So they've gone outside their shores and adapted those things to do it. So it's not a product of that is our ancestral internal something that has produced. I don't mean, come on.
Okay, so I mean,
what I would agree with
Yeah.
is that, and I think he also alluded to that look, people have not taken what they call their faith and integrated it into every aspect of their lives.
and the argument is because it cannot be done because fundamentally it's at odds with our nature as Africans. And that we need to start worshiping the way our great-grandfathers and great-great-great-great-grandfathers did.
So this
And let
religion,
me just wrap
no,
up.
this
Let me give you an
this
example.
religion. So if we trace the religion back, Christianity, we go to Israel, to the
I don't-
Jews.
Do you remember?
Are you saying all the
No, do you
Europeans?
remember Chris Ngige at a shrine swearing on an oath? And the general belief, and I'm telling you, ask this, speak to your people. Virtually, there's a belief that virtually everybody who goes to church also has a babalao on the side. And people who call themselves Muslims will still go and visit malams. And therefore...
No, you're correct.
let
Which
me-
is why when you
let
said
me finish.
2% of people are practicing,
Yes.
It's not right.
And there are those who believe that we fear juju more than we fear the God that we're supposed to be worshiping. And that one of the ways in which you can therefore use religion to force good behavior is if you adopt the ones that they fear, not the ones that they speak by mouth. And you're saying it's not an option for you, right? as a Christian, as a
are you
Muslim.
saying that they are, let's even go, are you saying that they are juju gods that they swear by promote corruption?
I am saying we've
Those
seen people
values,
swear by
those
the Bible.
values are not in traditional
No,
religion.
I am saying we've seen people swear by the Bible, by the Quran. It doesn't stop them from stealing billions when they get into office.
Now,
Right?
in Kadaria,
Yes, please, go in.
you see, those people you are referring to who believe in traditional religion, they have the right to believe in whatever they want to believe. But this is where politics is important. And this is where democracy is also important. Do you want us, majority of people in Nigeria, about 90% of us who are religious, to abandon our belief and follow the belief of those who wanted to believe in traditional. You want us to do that?
The question is, your religion isn't making you better people.
Does it make them better?
It
Any
seems
better than us?
to.
How?
How does it
In
make
what
them
ways?
better? How does it make them better?
Well,
Now-
we are told when they swear on those things, they
Now-
actually abide by the
Okay.
things they swear to.
Okay, let's take it from another angle.
Okay. Please,
All
can we
peoples.
have, excuse me,
Can we have one house? Hello?
please,
Hello?
please, can we respect our speakers and try and listen? I will come to you very shortly, I promise. I will. Okay.
Now, all peoples in the world were idol worshippers before coming into contact with revealed religions. And since coming into contact with revealed religions, many countries have developed. So if you find you are not satisfied, you should look inwards. But many people have developed. The Vatican is run as a Christian society, and they are not complaining like we are doing in Nigeria. In Malaysia, their constitution specifically states that the religion of Malaysia is Islam, but all others are free to practice the religion of their choice in peace and harmony. But using that, you know what they did? They said, okay, since we said we are Muslims, Islam has prohibited stealing and corruption and all the evils we are complaining about. So they fight it seriously, and it has made it necessary that we must deliver good governance. We must read. Before that constitution, the people don't want to go to Western schools. But with that, they were taught how Islam laid the foundation of what we call Western education, and how it changed societies in the past, and how if they don't embrace this, what we call Western education, they will remain backward. And then they picked up, and now they are competing with the developed countries.
Okay, let's move
It didn't stop them.
Okay,
So why are you thinking it will stop us?
Pastor Peju, let me quickly come to you because I have to open it up to the audience. You can see they're getting a bit impatient. They want to ask questions. What should be the role then of the clerics and the clergy in sort of, if you sort of believe those two religions are the ones, and how do we rescue them and make sure that they play a positive role in nation building? And perhaps you can also speak to some of the work you have been doing.
Well, I think anybody who is in clergy, his main work is to make sure he preaches the truth. He tells the people that are under his judicial authority that they should live according to these principles, to make it clear, and to also spell out clearly if you believe that people are going into public office and they are mismanaging funds and all of that, then you say that very clearly on your own pulpit. Okay, I think part of the problem is that I think the clergy also wants to influence, when you now want to influence politics, and then you start going.
Is that a good thing or bad thing in your view?
When you say influence politics by saying this candidate and that,
Yes.
Because personally, I don't agree to
we've
it.
seen,
Personally, I don't agree to it.
So in places like Latin America, for example, the Catholic Church historically has played a really strong role in getting rid of dictators and sort of ushering in governance that was better for the people.
Yeah, but that's if you are dealing with oppression. That is a scriptural injunction, that if you have an oppressor and there's injustice, you stand up to injustice. That's scriptural. But when you come to preference in candidates and all of that, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so you wouldn't want to see, and I think we saw it, I think maybe in the last 2 elections, clerics, clergy endorsing candidates. etc., etc. This is not something that you would
No. It's going
encourage.
to, if you project that into the next 12 years, it's going to divide the church.
And you, what are your views regarding that?
Repeat your question.
So we've seen, I think in the last two election circles, religious leaders
Yeah.
across,
Yeah.
the two major religions
Yeah.
endorsing candidates or saying, vote for this rather than this, etc., etc. What is your view regarding that decision?
My view is that it is better you set criteria and educate people on that criteria so that they identify those who meet that criteria and vote for them.
I have a few more questions, but I think I will sort of let the audience come in and then we can sort of go back. Okay.
All
Oh
right.
my God, there's a lot of hands. All right. I think we will do them in
numbers.
batches of 3.
All right.
So we'll do 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here. We'll do 3, come back to the panel. 3 here, come back to the panel, and 3 here. So put your hands down here and here. Let's start with this row so that there's fairness. Yes, sir. The gentleman in blue, the one in brown. Yeah, so just stand up so that the mic. Please keep it short,
Yeah, thank
please.
you. Thank you very much, the panelists. I just want to ask a quick question. Don't you think our basic problem, aside even within religion, within religions we also have sex and dominations. Don't you think our problem in Nigeria is our inability to manage diversity and inclusion, irrespective? Because in the north, over the last 1 year, let me go back to the north. Even if we allow Islam to run the entire north, within the sects we have, we're going to be in great trouble. And I foresee the crisis of the north, even in Islam, around the sects, the clerics we have now, who are also on each other's neck. And then we'll come to a stage where even when you project a Muslim, a candidate, assuming in Kanu, we begin to ask ourselves whether it's a Kadaria, or is he a Tijaniya, or is he a Izala, or is he... How do you think we should manage this diversity? I think it's very, very important.
Okay, do you actually, before we come back to them, do you yourself think you know what the answer is to that? If you were given...
I am asking somebody who had worked in Hisbah,
Okay.
and I know these things are prominent, and that's why I'm
asking
asking the question.
in case you think you have a solution. Thank you.
I don't.
Let's go to the next person. Because sometimes when people ask questions, they have an answer. Yes, sir. And
Thank
please,
you very
can
much.
you introduce yourself? It's always important to know the people we're talking to, please.
My name is Mahmoud Zukogi. I think from the discussion, it's obvious that religion has driven us into a cul-de-sac. In other words, we are in some kind of labyrinth and we can't get out of it until and unless we go back to the proper teachings of Islam and Christianity. We're talking about how religion can direct our affairs to achieve growth and development, peace and unity. But we are not getting that. We had Muslim Christian under Buhari and Osinbajo, and now we also have Muslim. And we are in a position to tell how we are fared around this two administrations. But particularly, my question is, what, in your views, do you think can be done for us to use religion as a yardstick for good governance in Nigeria? Thank you.
Thank you. There's the last person here in front in blue. No. It's here. Here. Right here. There was someone whose hand was up. Yes, that's him in blue. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Godwin Cornelius Udabo. I must commend the speakers and then the organizer of the event. You can see this topic or subject is critical, and the speakers were always tossed around, and that is it. Mine is not a question, it's a comment. Uh, this subject, Nigeria is a diverse nation. So my suggestion is that we should learn to use this diversity in this subject called religion to that's to use it for nation growth, to use it to become, people that can work together and, achieve a common aim. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Two issues were raised: how we're managing our diversity and the failure to, and how can we do that better, and the issue of how can we use religion as well to sort of just promote nation building. So, anybody?
Yes. The first contributor was talking about our inability to manage diversity. And I think the second commentator has partly answered the question that the way to go about is to go back to the basics of the two religions. Let us take the teachings and then we disseminate those teachings, and we
Who is
see
the
them
we?
practicing as Muslims and Christians.
Right. So
Yes,
everybody.
Muslims and Christians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not particularly government, not clerics, not people in
Well,
positions.
we need institutions to manage. We already have the religious institutions. What we lack are the governmental institutions that will complement this thing, except at the level of committees such as NIREC and so on and so forth, which are inadequate. And how do we use? Okay, it's still they still all round go around the same demand. How do we use the religion to this thing? I think maybe three things. One, dialogue.
your faith is limited to your private life. Does it exist? You cannot separate a person's faith from how he relates with workers in the office and from that. What you just have to look at, because then you are simply saying, because if you remove it from there, you could also remove it from family and then remove it from schools and remove it from, so you'll be left with just the man in his bedroom praying to his God, and he can't go outside and even pray publicly. So the issue is, how do we use faith? And I believe now from this discussion, I think, government should get more aggressive about this thing. They shouldn't leave this thing just with the read, because if people are making money from it, if people are getting political power from it, they won't stop doing what they're doing.
So when you say get involved, are you talking about regulating it, or what do you mean?
Well, in terms of even educating the public, right, and making the public, understand.
So you want Nigeria's government to get involved in educating people on Christianity and Islam?
No.
Okay.
On the values, not on the content of the religion of what you preach on your pulpit, but in terms of development of the state, all right, and the fact that religion in itself has been used, and the values, which every religion we agree on, like he said, service, truth, and all of that, and push those things out. Okay. Because if you leave it to...
Okay. So my big sister here in front, there's another lady at the back with an orange lane, and then, okay, I'll do 4 here. Abubakar and the man in front of him. So we'll do 4 here, please. Yeah? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Kadaria, for choosing me to ask a question. Actually, I have 2 quick questions. To Malam Saidu Dukawa, I was very happy when you agreed or mentioned that atheism is also a belief. That was interesting. I've never thought of it that way. And then you went on to say that people should be free to practice whatever they believe in. So with these 2 statements, can you please tell us what you think about the issue of Mubarak Bala, who professes to be an atheist, and yet he was not treated like he had the right to practice his belief, since atheism is also a belief. So that's what I would like you to tell us your thoughts on that, considering that you've been on the Hizbah board. Okay, the other quick one is, okay, maybe I should just leave it at that.
Please, thank you. Yeah.
No, you. I know, I'm coming to you.
No, it's the lady at the back. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. My name is Deborah.
Okay, can I please ask that we have one house? The chatter is really distracting. They need to hear the questions they're being asked. So kindly respect the guests, please. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Deborah Olai. During the conversation, Pastor, you mentioned something about the clergy sticking to the truth. And I don't know, I listen to a lot of pastors when they preach, and it's beginning to sound like this truth is becoming relative. Like they begin to tell us truth in a certain way. So I'm just curious, when you people meet, let's say the Christian Association of Nigeria or any other organization, do you people discuss these things? I really want to know, because it is the clergy that they come to tell us something about politics in a certain way. We're also talking about values. Do you people discuss these things that you say on the pulpit?
Can I just
curious.
Deborah, can I ask you, which church? Do you go to church?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. So this question is including your pastor, right?
All of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. At this side, please, the mic. We have no. Why are you cutting my panel? It's 15 minutes. Okay.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes.
My name is Mustafa Ibrahim. My question goes to Dr. Dukawa. Honestly, I felt that let me just make a background before I ask you the question, sir. Yes, the background goes like this. The politics of religion in northern Nigeria has to do with some certain things that are not being valid, like the institutions, like the Council of Ulamas. You understand? Allowing every other person to do whatsoever he chooses to do. And that's the reason why we find it very difficult
I have
sometimes.
5 minutes. Oh.
Yeah, sometimes for us to curtail some things. Like there's a cleric in Bauchi who is always abusing democracy and sometimes even started saying that any woman who has a decoration on her face, she's going to hellfire.
So
You
what's your
understand this?
question,
My
sir?
question is there any law in their council that always, stop such a kind of clerics?
So
Thank
can
you.
they hold them accountable?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Um, that's essentially a sort of the crust of my question. I wanted to ask, how do you think, both of you, how do you think religious leaders and clerics are complicit in promoting hate towards different religions? And how do you think you can regulate yourselves? Or if you need state intervention to regulate you, right? Thank you.
Because we have only 5 minutes, I'm taking a few more questions and then we come back and wrap up. Yes, so the lady in pink in front, the gentleman right at the back with gray, and one lady over there with the big nice afro. Okay.
Good morning. I'm Wing Commander Bashari.
Please make it fast.
Yes, I remember in those days in St. Louis, we used to read the Bible and the Quran all together. And then we used to go to Christian houses, we used to go to the churches, but now we can't do that. Can both of you kindly tell us how to get back to those days, those sweet days?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. The gentleman right there.
Thank you very much. My name is Abubakar Mohammed. And please, my question goes to both of you, So why do you think our politicians use this type of divide and conquer when it comes to their campaign time? Like someone will just stand on the podium and start telling someone that at the end of the day, Muslim ticket is here for the benefit of whatsoever religion that you're following. While we know we are in a country whereby we have diversity and every sect of this country have a right to be part of governance. So why is it that someone will come and be pushing that ideology and be thinking that if I'm sorry, ma, it is very important, and be thinking that if you are because it is Muslim, it is not necessarily because it is going to benefit Muslims alone. But why is it that you don't think even in Christian sect we have people that are competent, that can.
What's your question?
So the
please?
question is, why is it our politicians are always using that type of divide and conquer type of campaign? Thank you very much.
And the last question, please. I'm so sorry we can't do more.
Good morning. My name is Grace Yakubu. My question is for both religions. I wanted to ask what the provisions are for by the religion to civic responsibility of the masses. Case study, NSAS. When NSAS was happening in the south and people were out. In the north here, when people wanted to come out, it was discouraged and the clerics used don't go out. People were scared and pushed out. So I wanted to know, as a Christian, I don't know the provision. What provisions does the Bible or the Quran have for citizens to speak up for themselves against the government?
Thank you. Okay. Let's answer the questions and then wrap.
Yes, Your Excellency, the case of Mubarak Bala is a case of a Muslim who decided to change his religion. Am I right? Am I right? Which I said, decide not to believe is to believe in not, right? So he decided to change his religion.
I don't know. He was born into a Muslim family. Was it his decision?
He was born
to be a Muslim.
No, listen. He was born into a family he grew up and decided to continue as a Muslim, and then later decided to change his religion. Do you agree with that? Fine.
Let me not argue.
So, Your Excellency, Islam has two principles. Principle number one, there is no compulsion in religion. So nobody is compelled to accept Islam. But if you accept Islam, principle number two, you can't change. Yes, because before you accept it, you are free to accept any other, to take any. But once you accept it, you cannot change because of self-preservation. Because that is its principle of self-preservation. All right? So it is just like you want to go to a country and the visa conditions tells you these are the conditions.
Okay.
And you can't accept and go to the country and violate conditions.
I think we could sit down
do that.
and have a whole conversation about people can be deemed to have accepted.
So
let's move on to the next question.
Yes. About clerics who err, whether we have a system of punishing them. Well, there are things that can be done, but there are limits because of the constitutional provision that guarantees everybody to propagate his religion in public and so on and blah blah. There is that provision in the Constitution. So it limits the powers of the clergy. Probably I may be speaking even on behalf of the Christian colleague.
Okay.
There is a limit to which you can stop somebody, but within that limit, things are being done honestly.
So he has a train to catch.
Then finally, okay, so over to you.
Okay. The question of how you get back to.
Which question?
How do you get back
take it
to?
up.
Yeah, you can
Take the other questions.
No, we can't. The lady who asked what we discuss among ourselves. Those are specific Christian ones. You said, what do we discuss when we meet ourselves based on? Look, this is something people have to, like he said here. The truth about the matter is that, particularly with Pentecostals, there's a limit to which anybody can exercise any authority over another person in terms of what, there's a limit to it. Because people started their churches, they believed they were called by God as individuals, they were in garages. You didn't come and visit them there. They
Pastor,
blew up.
please move your mic.
All right? The churches grew, so people are very independent in what they are doing. But in my own group that I know, I don't think there's anybody who will, they may not be vocal about it, but I don't think there's anybody who will deny principles of good governance. Okay? All right. Christian, the lady, okay, that's not directed at me. It wasn't directed at me.
Related question, really.
No. You talked about NSAS and the fact what religious leaders. You said. Look, personally, I think that the populists themselves, they themselves are causing a lot of religious problems. Because if you want to do an NSAS and you want to talk about police brutality, you don't have to start tweeting that pastors should come and join you in the fight. It's when you start dragging, part of it is part of what is causing religious problem, because it seems like nobody can do anything without. Huh? Okay.
You know what provisions
No, madam, no, I'm sorry.
What provision?
Yes, because of the time.
All right.
Okay, just a final question around how do we hold religious leaders accountable, right? I don't think any of you really dealt with that properly. So you've talked about it within sort of your groupings, but generally, how do you hold religious leaders accountable and people who use religion to divide if they are also politicians, etc., and preach hate?
So long as people are not breaking the law of the land, how are you going to hold them accountable?
No. Hate speech is a crime.
Against the law of the land.
Yes.
And then they should charge them to court for hate speech now.
Okay, so you see it as a judicial matter.
Because, I mean, how else are you going to do it?
Please, can you be quiet? It's a judicial matter.
No, so long as a person stays within the confines of the laws of a land, it becomes difficult for you to say that what he's doing, because he says that it is a conviction he has from God concerning it. And if it is not harmful to anybody and doesn't violate the law of the land, there's a limit. If people violate the law of the land, then they should also be held by that.
I'm going to give you guys just 30 seconds to just wrap up. Final thoughts.
Yes, beginning with the last one. In Islam, part of the reason you hear us Muslims wanting to have Sharia proper is because there are way things are done, including how to hold political leaders accountable. One of which is through the Shura, a mutual consultation committee, which comprises of experts and learned people whose advice is compulsory upon the leader. But then we don't have that now. So these are the kind of things. So rather than going for end-SARS demonstration, we go to this committee of elders, learned people, and complain to them. So even if it is in terms of group, as though it's looking like a demonstration, registering that, and then they will talk to the leader, and he must obey. But we don't have that now. The last one is your talk about religious leaders keeping quiet or even having romance with corrupt politicians. It's a good one which I missed to comment on. You see, there are individual clerics on both divides who are so critical of these people. But what we lack is a collective action against them, which we need to keep discussing on how we can put hands together to make sure that we...
What I would just say for 30 seconds is that personally, I gained a lot from this discussion. I was enlightened on many things. And I think that this kind of discussions should be done publicly more often, televised, so that people can hear, all right, and all of that, because I think that this is a light and it's a way forward. All right.
Thank you very much, Lalashone, for making these spaces available. A round of applause, please.
Thank you so much. Please let us give them a proper